Hi, everybody. This is Betsy Baker from that cult classic film, The Evil Dead. And you're listening to the Timo and Harley Show. Don't miss it, if you know what I mean. They're gonna get you. They're gonna get you. No, they won't, but just listen to the show, okay?
Welcome to the Timo and Harley Show.
Thank you for listening to the Timo and Harley Show. I am Timo. Over there is my partner in mind crime, Mr. Ben Harley. Say hello, Harley.
What is happening, people?
Ben, hear ye, Harley.
How you doing, Timo?
I'm okay. I'm all right.
Come on.
Yeah. Listen, check this out. Okay, so we are on our march to number 500. Yes. Show number 500. Crazy? Yes. So I've got a little special prize for all of our audience who are what, Mr. Ben Harley?
Deep thinkers.
Yes. 106% of our audience consists of deep thinkers. So for all the deep thinkers, we are going to start a series this week. A series of interviews so you get a break from our tired hides, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So today we are going to start
something entertaining for you.
Exactly. We're going to give this a shot. We were talking off air about entertainment, and we thought, why don't we give their entertainment a shot? Maybe that would help out the deep thinkers. Maybe they would enjoy that. Yeah. Now, I don't agree with that, but he's really needling me about trying this entertainment shit. So, all right, fine, you people. So on our march up to 500, yes, we are going to have a series of interviews. Today is the first of a two-part interview with our pal, the Fresh Prince of Darkness himself, Mr. Marc Diamond from the Dwarves.
Marc Diamond.
Yeah. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about some prophecy, about some Godzilla, some of the newer Godzilla movies coming out and things like that. So stuff that Mark is interested in. I know our good pal here, Mr. Ben Harley, is interested in as well.
Oh, yeah, very interesting.
Yes, and then in a few weeks after the Marc Diamond interviews are done, we are going to have Miss Betsy Baker on the program for a couple weeks too. Do an interview with her, which is very good. And then we'll have our big 500 show, which might have a surprise guest or two on that. Never know.
Yeah.
Never know. So,
you never know.
That's right. Couple of things here before we get to Mr. Marc Diamond's interview. Yeah. And part of that too is, and here's for your listening pleasure, we'll be a little less chatty before we get to our official films.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Part of the entertainment, according to what Harley's saying to me. I don't understand. I don't get this, but. Let's see here. As everyone knows, I like to play a little bit of the rock music. Music. Sometimes it's the punk rock music. Sometimes it's just the rock music. You never know.
Just the rock. You never know.
Yeah.
Keep you on your toes.
Going to be doing the rock music March 28th here in St. Louis for the grand opening of Red Flag.
Yeah.
Our buddy Bob Fancher's new club in St. Louis. New club.
Yeah.
Going to be
a big club, gigantic.
Yeah, I think it is going to be pretty big. We're going to be playing with Blight Future, a band called Bastard, and then Ashes and Iron. So that should be a good show. So we are going to be helping out with those festivities.
Nice.
Let's see here.
What's the date on that again, bud?
March 28th is a Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, coming up. So. Now, I got that coming up, but you don't have anything necessarily coming up, but you just behind us in the space-time continuum just got done with another wrestling show performance as a potentate of hate. But now, hold on. This was not at St. Clement's Hall, was it?
No, this was...
you got to explain this to the audience, because I'm totally lost.
West.
What the hell?
This is an hour west for me. That's a long ways, you know. No, actually, yeah. He said, "Go west, young man," and I did.
Well, if you went an hour north, you'd be in Russia or something. So
that's right. Yeah, that's true.
You
got me there.
Globe.
You got me there. You got me there. Yeah. No, yes, sir. We just did a new show. Well, yeah, a new show for CIW. Which is Philip Monahan's promotion. This was in Waldron, Michigan.
Okay.
And CIW is where I got my first start with Phil.
Right.
So I got a lot of fond memories. It's been a few years since I've been there. I think we did a show there. Oh, yes. Whatever. It's about 4 years ago. I think 4 or 5 since I've been there. So it was fun going back. It's in a little elementary school in Waldron, Michigan. Michigan.
I hear it's legal there, though, so I'm okay with Michigan.
Oh, yeah. I'm cool with that. No, I really like Michigan. Yeah. But I had to get them fired up about the Michigan.
Oh, I hear you.
So, Well, because there's a Waldron, Ohio.
Oh, and so
Waldron
versus Waldron.
Like we were in Waldron, Ohio.
I got you.
Then I pulled like, we're in Michigan. Oh, God. Don't touch anything. One of those, So
it's got the Corona all over it. It's got the Corona all over
it. Yeah. Got that thing, yeah.
Right.
But, yeah, we had a great time. There was a pretty decent-sized crowd. I'd say like 200 to 250,
wow.
people.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
200 to, and just a great crowd, pretty rabid for the most part.
That's a good indie wrestling crowd
fun.
Show. That's a good crowd, for indie wrestling.
Yeah, and it was fun for us to, too, because we hadn't worked this crowd as Circus of Pain. I hadn't been back as a potentate in a long time. Some of them might have remembered me, some might not have, but it was good to work a new crowd.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm going to get any love letters or any fond, anything nicely said to me or about me from Waldron, but I won't be getting the key to the city anytime soon. But yes, I did my job and I had a blast. It was fun to work a new crowd. And
now, are you guys going to be doing that? Is that going to be a semi-regular thing again, or is this kind of a one-shot just kind of deal? Do you know?
No, I think he might try to keep. After the reaction that we got, I think he might try to do a few more. I think they did one over the summer last year. So it might be, something that is done every couple months, every other month or something like that, which I would really would love for to continue because what just a great crowd. The fans were into it. The show was really good. Met some guys that I saw at another show that I went to by Rhino. Buddy Rhino, yes, he put on a show.
Yeah, how did that go? Now, that was a separate event,
that was good.
Right?
Yes,
was that in Monroe,
I did
Michigan?
not work that one. Yeah, Monroe, Michigan there. And
but you went to it, right?
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Incognito, you went, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Yep. Went and we set up our booth.
Oh, okay.
And we do Rhino shirts or whatever. So well, you know that.
Sure. But for the audience, Ben Harley, the Screen Printing Factory.
Yes.
His place of business. They do shirts for lots of people, and one of them is the wrestler Rhino, who is he keeps going back and forth between TNA and WWE and his boatyard.
Yeah.
So good for him.
Good for him. Yeah.
He's got a good thing going right now. I'd bounce between those things myself. That'd be fine.
Yeah, he does.
Right.
And I tell you one thing, Rhino puts on one hell of a show.
Yeah, how was that?
Same thing. Great. Same thing. There's probably same thing, but probably 250 to 300 people at this one. He just put on a good show. Now, the wrestling's pretty good, but he just does a lot of things right as far as, they have people walking around serving beers and food and stuff like that. You might not want to get up and get you a hot dog, but if someone brings one over to you, you think, you know what? Maybe I will have a hot dog. You know what I mean? Like
wiener delivery. Yay!
Exactly. You get 2 hot dogs and a beer for $5. That's a pretty good deal.
Oh yeah, it is a good deal actually.
Yeah,
sure.
So and then you might want another beer after that. I'm at least a 3 beer at those shows. I have to have. I tell people, I was like, well, whether you drink or not, I guess. If you do drink, come to a wrestle match, have 2 beers at least.
Right.
And you're going to have a blast. You will. You'll have fun, man. You know what I mean? But
when's the next shindig? Are you doing another Powerbomb wrestling show in
Powerbomb on
Toledo,
the 15th.
at St. Clement's Hall?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, the 15th.
March 15th. Okay.
Yes, beware the Ides of March, Timo, they say. So, but no, the 15th. It's going to be a tough one because Pedo is taking on Genghis. We have a little family squabble.
Oh boy, there we go. Yep,
little families, which
trouble in paradise.
Trouble in paradise. You can't, Tim, you can't always be laughing on the inside and the outside.
Well, what side is the potentate of hate going to be on?
Oh, he's going with Pedo.
Oh, boy.
One. Yep. Yeah,
oh,
I gotta side with Pedo. Genghis has got himself mixed up with that Ray Orndorff guy.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah. But don't you fear, Timo. Just, you never really know.
Right.
When mayhem might just turn, do not a 360, a 180.
Yeah.
Right, Timo? So there
I've seen the commercials. I know.
So look
Before
out.
we get to Marc Diamond, his interview here, just wanted to mention one thing to you and to the audience. Now, I'm not going to go through all the stuff I watched this week, but I did watch some neat stuff. But we're going to save that space for our pal, Marc Diamond, here to talk about his stuff. But I wanted to mention something on Amazon Prime, a movie from 2013. Damn it, I did it. 2013. Not 2013. Yeah, 2013. Movie called Filmed in Super Marionation. It is a documentary about Jerry Anderson and his studio. And you probably know his studio as the studio that put out Thunderbirds Are Go. So it is the puppet. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's a documentary on Amazon Prime. It goes through all of the shows, how his studio started. It did not start as a puppet studio. It was supposed to be just a studio. And the first job they got was a puppet thing, and it just kept going and going and going and going. And it shows how they designed the puppets, how they did the mouths and the animatronics, and there was a lot of different series that they did.
I tell you, those are really good, and not. We were just talking about that. It's funny, the legend, or Brett here, was asking. We were doing some work one day, and he was, "What's that one show?" And he kept talking. And I said, "It's Thunderbirds." What? I said, "Thunderbirds Go," or "Thunderbirds Are Go." And that's why I found the television show and put it on for him the other day. Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, And he was like, "Oh my God, it's bringing back so much memories." And that stuff was really awesome, man. Like high adventure, And
it was neat. But they showed how they did the effects and how the puppets evolved from show to show, and how like the effects went, and everything. And I think that you would enjoy it. I think you would, milady.
Thank you, milady.
So, and it has all the voice actors and Jerry Anderson's kid. They're going back to the old studio, and it's a neat little thing if you enjoyed that. Again, it's called Filmed in Super Marionation. That's what it's called, and it is on Amazon Prime for free to watch. Good little documentary. Just wanted to mention that before
love that stuff, man.
Let's get to the interview here, Mr. Ben. The beginning of our march to number 500, show number 500. So, again, from the band The Dwarves, here is himself, the Fresh Prince of Darkness, Mr. Marc Diamond.
Marc Diamond.
I'd like to welcome back to the show, friend of the show, the Fresh Prince of Darkness, Mr. Marc Diamond from The Dwarves. How you doing, Marc?
I'm doing good, Tim. How are you? Hey, Ben.
We are, I tell you what, we're both doing great. We're excited. We're about at our 500th episode.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So for 500 weeks, we've been talking about nonsense. So we want to celebrate the nonsense and bring in someone with some kind of coherent thought pattern to kind of help anchor us. So I thought, who better than Marc Diamond? So, okay, I know you and Harley, all right? You guys are big Godzilla, big Gojira fans. And they have, there's been a couple new films. Legendary Pictures has been putting out the King Kong and the Godzilla movies. And, of course, there was a King Kong versus Godzilla is going to be coming out here the next year or so, I think.
I think it's next November or something.
Okay, all right. So just in general. Now, of course, we all grew up on the old Godzilla movies from the 50s through the 70s and stuff. So just in general, what are your thoughts on this new series of Godzilla films?
Obviously, I grew up on the old ones, the guy in the suit, and I like that. And there's a certain charm to that we like. Obviously, that won't fly now. Mm-hmm. Kids are used to seeing everything. Everything has to be CGI. The first Legendary one that came out, I thought they nailed the character of Godzilla perfectly. Looked good. This is not something that gets hungry or needs to be fed, like in the horrible Matthew Broderick one. Right. They nailed it. The downfall of that movie is that he's barely in it. Mm-hmm. Anytime he was in it, it looked great. All the trappings of Godzilla were wonderful. and correct its motivations. It wasn't really there to fuck around with people. It just had to kill those Mutos. But there's too much Muto, not enough Godzilla. And then I thought Skull Island was a lot of fun. I like that. I thought they got the tone of that really, really well. There were other monsters, but you never forgot that it was a King Kong movie. I think setting it in the early 70s gave you that Apocalypse Now deja vu type thing, which felt good. The guy who made that, before he made it, he had made like one romantic comedy. I don't know how he got tapped to do a big monster movie, but I thought that, there was a good cast, John C. Reilly, John Goodman, Samuel Jackson, it was good. The story was fun. It was plausible. And the pacing was done really well. You never forgot it was a King Kong movie. There were other monsters, but he was a star. I really enjoyed that one for what it was. I think the first Godzilla faltered in that there just wasn't enough Godzilla. It was too much about the other monsters, which brings us to the last one, Godzilla King of the Monsters, where there's a lot of Godzilla. There's a lot of other monsters. I think they have the screen time down right on that one. But, it's not without its flaws, too, Do
you think it was overkill, the last one?
They threw in a lot. Some of the scenes were done well. Other stuff was a little over the top. That one really suffered that the actual story was just kind of terrible. The monster stuff was fun. Godzilla was fun, but the actual human motivations, that silly machine that they have, it never really made sense.
Right.
It just really made no sense,
Right.
It was just a poorly, I have such high hopes. Godzilla meant so much to me growing up. And I thought, who's the guy who did the first Legendary one? Gareth Andrews?
Yes.
Is that his name?
Yeah.
I thought he came close, but he failed in not having enough Godzilla. Seeing what Guillermo del Toro did with The Shape of Water, which, my other favorite film was The Creature from the Black Lagoon, I know that these movies can be redone in a smart way, done intelligently. The way he did that it was a gorgeous movie. It's beautiful filmmaking. It's still The Creature from the Black Lagoon. You know what I mean? I always remember, hearing interviews with him where he talked about watching Creature from the Black Lagoon as a child in Mexico, and then always wishing that they ran off together in the end of it. I really like that movie. I mean, it's a fairy tale. I liked it, but it was done very intelligently. Hence, I always have high hopes that someday someone's going to write a good Godzilla script. The very first Godzilla was a good script. The original one, but sure. This movie wasn't it. This movie, I was disappointed when I saw it the day it came out in the theaters. Took my daughter, Cinerama Dome. Every time I've watched it since, I've enjoyed it more, just for the sheer Godzilla, stomping fun. But I still think that out there somewhere, there's somebody who could write an intelligent, smart script. I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with the Gamera movies.
Oh, yeah.
But when they redid, they did the trilogy like at the end of the 90s.
Right.
The first one was The Gauss. The second one was Iris. Whatever the third one was, that had a really good, intelligent tone. That was an interesting movie. The idea that this girl hates Gamera. Whenever Gamera comes to save the day and beat the other monster, invariably thousands of people get crushed, in the buildings and whatever. She harbored this great hatred towards that big turtle. I thought that was done really well. You know what I mean? It was an interesting take on something that we don't think about. Every time he saves the day, it's still destroying, countless lives and whatever.
Right.
I don't think we've hit that yet with these Godzilla movies. The last one, like I said, each time I watch it, I enjoy it more and more for what it is, which is just, kind of a goofy monster movie. And I like Godzilla and he's cool.
Right.
But the actual human story element of it really just made no sense. Nobody's motivations made any sense.
I don't like them at all. Like, I think with me, if you take away the whole idea of how the Japanese did it with the suits and stuff, I think I actually enjoyed what I was seeing. I was having a lot of fun with the guys in the rubber suits and stuff. And I just don't think, to me personally, as a fan of those old movies, that the CG and the more serious tones and things translates well to me, at least. I think I want to have more fun with them, and I don't want I don't want them to become depressing. Although Gojira, in fairness, is one of the most depressing movies ever made.
Yeah, and then you got to remember, the version that we see on TV is the Americanized one. The original one was a serious film.
Right.
Tone-wise, like I always think of that Skull Island. That was fun. It's silly. It's not going to win any big awards, but they had the right tone for a big monster movie. I thought that guy really I don't understand why they just don't hire him to make these movies. Whatever that guy's name was, he did King Kong. Just get that guy. That guy nailed it. Get it out of the park. It's a fun, big monster movie, but he's good enough to get some good human, portrayals on film too. With a story that's not totally stupid but plausible.
Right.
It's just the Godzilla one. It's just like none of it ever made sense, and none of the people's motivations ever made any sense for what they were doing at any time.
Right. I think it'd be really cool if they took the script from Gojira and they reshot it as a period piece from the 1950s. Because the one thing about Gojira is that it's a tremendous movie. The music, everything is tremendous. And then when you actually watch it, though, Godzilla's a little not the most effective monster you've ever seen in cinema history. There's great moments, but some of the puppetry and stuff gets a little painful to see today. And not that it's saying that CG isn't painful sometimes too.
Yeah, well, just naturally, certain things don't. Well, that's what's always interesting, movies that hold up and monsters that hold up. I mean, The Creature from the Black Lagoon, with the exception of his eyes when he's on land, still looks fantastic. The suit's fantastic. It's great. The only thing that didn't really hold up was, you could tell the eyes were goggles. But, in the pantheon of, rubber monster suits, that one today still looks really good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, obviously certain things, King Kong, the original, scared the hell out of people when it came out. It's stop motion.
Right.
Godzilla and Gojira does look a little goofy at certain times, but even by the time you and I, people our age, had seen that one, we probably already seen the '70s ones. You know what I mean?
Right.
Being kids,
Right.
Right. I can't remember when I saw my first Godzilla movie, but I'm sure I saw the campier ones before I saw the serious one.
Right.
And at that, the one that they'd be showing on TV would have been the American cut.
And I know that I'm not going to win the battle of special effects techniques.
Right.
Speaking of rubber-suited monsters, I know you were excited. I was excited. Harley is excited, but he kind of pulls up to the rear when it comes to buying things. But Prophecy from 1979 finally comes out on Blu-ray. And finally we have our first taste of special features as well that are on there. So first up, what did you think about the actual the Blu-ray transfer of Prophecy?
The Blu-ray transfer, I thought that looked good. I ordered mine the day it came out. That movie scared the hell out of me as a child. It's probably the reason that I quit Cub Scouts. I know in Cub Scouts, eventually you had to go on a camping trip in the woods. And I just remember just, I was like, fuck that. I'm not sleeping in the woods.
Right.
And I quit. I have so many, I love that movie. I was super excited about the special features, but I was really pretty disappointed. I mean, not one deleted scene, not one outtake, not one still photograph. I mean, there's this very, the interviews were nice. But, and obviously Frankenheimer's passed away.
Right.
I thought the bit with the special effects guys was interesting.
See, those I liked. What I didn't like, and maybe see if you follow me on this, I started getting a little irritable when I was watching special features. I've been waiting my whole life to see anybody involved with this movie talk about it. Never seen anybody talk about it. I have a hard time finding another human on the planet to talk about it with, much less seeing a special feature or something. And it seemed like half the time these people were apologizing for the film. It's like, I bought the movie. I don't want you to apologize for it. I like it.
The entire tone of every special feature was like, it's okay. It's like, look, that movie's, for real good cast. We had Richard Dysart and Armin Asante, proving again that he can play any race.
Right.
We've seen Armin play anybody.
Right.
Talia Shire. Had good people, big name. It's not a terrible movie. Does the monster look a little silly by today's standards? Yeah. I mean, I watched it with my daughter when she was 9 or 8, and I told her this movie really scared me. the first time it popped up, she just laughed. She's like, "Dad, this scared you?" I'm like, "Yeah, it really scared me." Yeah. But these are kids, who have never seen, whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't like the tone that everybody was just apologizing for it. It's like, this is a movie that's very beloved by a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I about a year ago, I got the book by David Seltzer, and it's actually, it was a book. It actually is very good. But yeah, I really wanted to see like outtake. There's supposed to be this scene where when Richard Dysart dies, like bites his head off or something.
That's the big one.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have that. I would have liked to hear more about them shooting the night, the night for day stuff. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things. Nobody ever talked. I mean, John Frankenheimer himself admitted that it probably would have been a lot better film had he not been so drunk at that time. He was going through his big alcoholic period. I mean, with all respect to him and his passing or whatever, but nobody ever touched upon that. I mean, there has to be just so many great stories about the making of that movie. And like you said, it's just pretty much each person got 10 minutes to apologize for a film that they don't put on their resume.
Right. Look, the creature design could have been better. I think we can all agree on that. Even people who love the movie could probably agree it could be better.
Right. And all the artwork had the idea, which the guy goes into about how, when things develop, they go through a fish phase.
Right.
Until they get to their final form. And that's what we all saw on the posters and everything. It's kind of a fucked up looking bear.
Right. Well, and the other thing is, too, is that what made me kind of happy was that I don't know, because like I said, again, these people are all apologizing for the movie, but it seemed like from what the effects guys were saying, the designs that the producers or whoever else had for this thing were awful, like terrible. That's what they were saying. So I'm wondering if it was really that bad and the bear that we see is actually better.
Right, sure. But again, there should be some stills of that. There should be some test footage. There should be some type of screen test. I mean, I was really hoping, just for something, and really all we got was like 3 interviews.
Yeah.
Was there like a poster gallery or something?
Yeah.
That was quite, because I mean, people like you and I, people who love the movie, have seen it and know all this stuff already. You're looking for that thing, I mean, I remember taking away from it that I didn't realize Kevin Peter Hall was it. Mm-hmm. But, it's just so much interesting stuff that you could talk about. And yeah, like you said, it was just, 30 minutes of apologizing.
I guess we can always hope for a future release if they're still releasing physical media by the time they get around to doing it.
I mean, who knows what happens to this stuff, but, there just had to have been test shoots of trying out the bear. I mean, to get to the thing that they settled on, there must have been a whole bunch of failed ones that didn't work. I mean, it's always amazing to this day. They'll still put out, an Evil Dead thing with footage that you've never seen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like every single person on that set was walking around with a camcorder. I mean, I still see things that I've never seen before, on some of the more recent, releases of that.
Right.
It's just like, come on, man. Somewhere, this is a movie that was made by a big studio with a big name director, Academy Awards, and there has to be some of this stuff laying around. I mean, I was pretty disappointed with the special features. There's just so many good ones. I mean, like the ones that come to mind, like The Howling. Mm-hmm. This has that really in depth where they talk to everybody about the making of it and the sources. The one on Humanoids from the Deep. Mm-hmm. They talk to Roger Corman. About reshooting the Dwarves scenes, and they just get very into it. They have a nice talk with the editor, and they have lots of scenes. There's this, obviously there's so much great Jaws stuff, but this just didn't really offer anything. And like I said, it has to be there somewhere. I don't know if they just didn't look hard enough, or if Paramount just wouldn't give it up, or just doesn't care about that movie. It's not going to make a lot of money. But
it was disappointing, but I was still extremely excited to have a nice shiny Blu-ray. Yeah. Of Prophecy sitting there. It only means it could happen again. Better than nothing. Better than that old DVD with I think maybe a trailer on it. That's about it. All right, Mr. Ben Harley.
Yes, sir, Tim.
Marc Diamond.
Marc Diamond.
Fresh Prince of Darkness.
Darkness, yeah. Man.
Well, next week...
Marc Diamond.
Next week, we will have part 2 of the Marc Diamond interview, which, Mr. Ben Harley, you're going to be glad to hear about, because we're talking some Bigfoot. And we're talking some Bigfoot evidence and all that. And people don't know, Mark is a Bigfoot enthusiast like ourselves. Yes. So we even talk about where he moved. Guy. Yeah, we even talked about where he moved, because I don't know if you noticed, but he had moved to a little bit more of a rustic setting.
Yeah,
just up the hill there off of LA, I think. But he talks about seeing a bear and everything walk across his path. So pretty interesting. So we'll have that for you next week. Let's get to our official film, Mr. Ben Harley, for this week. From 1962, we have the film Premature Burial.
Yeah.
All right. Let me get out Movie Guy and do a short storyline synopsis here for Premature Burial. All right. Here we go.
All right.
An artist grows distant from his new wife as an irrational horror of premature burial consumes him. Yes, this is based off the old Edgar Allan Poe story. Ray Milland.
Yes.
Plays a guy who has a almost an irrational fear of being buried alive. His father and him apparently have an affliction where they can be stricken down, almost like an episode, like somewhere between a narcoleptic fit and a seizure, I guess, where it makes them appear to be dead, but they're not. They're not. Their body just almost shut down. And he said his father had that too. When he was a child, he could swear that he heard his father trying to get out of his crypt. That he wasn't dead, that his father was buried alive. And so it's lurid, a very lurid gothic, just dripping of luridness and gothicness. Yes. And yes, it was
paranoia.
And it was directed by Roger Corman, otherwise known as Roger Corman.
Roger.
Yeah, and this was now this is interesting for the fact that he had a dispute, Roger Corman, about money. Go figure. Roger Corman. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of news here that's not really well known in the movie community. Yeah, but he was a little cheap.
He's cheap.
Corman was a little cheap.
That's why he got a lot of work. He got it done cheap.
That's right. So Corman had a financial dispute with AIP. And that's who was putting out all of his Edgar Allan Poe movies. So he decided to just try to strike out on his own. So he started production on Premature Burial with a distribution a company. Oh, it was I think Pathé. I think it was the lab that did the film, and they wanted to get into distribution. So he worked out a deal with them to finance his film. And then on the first day of shooting, the guys from AIP come in and say, "We just bought Pathé. You're back in business with me." They bought the whole damn company that he was doing. So it ended up being, but the problem was that Vincent Price had an exclusive contract with AIP. So when Corman started doing this movie, he couldn't use Vincent Price. So he ended up using Ray Milland. He got Ray Milland. It actually fit the character better. Yeah. But the movie is a bit of it sticks out a little bit because it is his Poe movie adaptation that does not have Vincent Price in it. So there you go. There's that. So again, it was directed by Roger Corman, of course. Hazel Court is in the film as Ray Milland's wife. And then Mr. Ben Harley, I know you're excited to see our pal Alan Napier as Dr. Gideon Galt in the film.
Old Alfred himself.
Right.
This is what, about 4 years before he did Alfred.
Yeah,
right?
it's 62. It's 62, so it's getting close there. But so now this movie is, I would say, 85% atmosphere.
Yes.
About that. So now, Mr. Ben Harley, have you seen this one before?
No, sir.
All right. What'd you think of Premature Burial?
A little slow for Ben Harley, but like you said, it is about atmosphere.
Yeah.
And for me, like atmosphere and paranoia. He is so paranoid throughout this, and a lot of these things that he keeps seeing things or things are happening, and it's just like, no, it's not, and I'm to the point, are they playing with him? Is this, it had me put off a little bit. But the movie itself, like I said, I love the way this movie shot, and then the sets, the set designs, especially the stuff from outside. I love like the way this looks. It's simple, but it's very, like you say, gothic looking and creepy. I love the sets in this film. I do. I just, for me, I immersed myself a lot more in that stuff too. Yeah. Than I did some of the dialogue and. Well,
Corman was real good about getting that atmosphere on color and getting those stark colors. Like Val Lewton was good at getting that atmosphere with the black and white photography. And Corman at this time was so good at that. And these movies have a similar feel to them. All these AIP, Edgar Allan Poe adaptation. This is really no different.
Yeah, and I mean it's just right from the beginning for me is like I'm like ooh because like all right we're in a grave. I don't like cemeteries, Timo. I don't want people to think that but you know what I mean. Like ooh, we got a creepy cemetery and creepy trees and fog and for me it's just opening sequences for me can really help me or hurt me like big time. I just want to be immersed right away. I don't want you
don't like credits and shit.
No, that's too much pitter patter. I want to just, now immerse me and then show me the credits. Okay, then I can do it. But I just,
when Harley's watching a movie, if the MGM lion comes up and does his roar, he's tapping on his watch going, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yeah. I've seen this before. Seen this movie.
Okay, Leo, we've heard your roar. Let's move on. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. But, I just, so I was immersed right away. Like I said, it did move a little slow for me, but that's okay. I mean, it's just I not that it was too slow, but I could use a little bit more stuff.
Yeah, there's a little a couple
more creepiness, maybe a plunging neckline or something.
Well, Hazel Court.
Oh, she's I'm not saying
she's bubbly. I like Hazel Court.
I do too. We need a few more plunging.
We sure do. The
awful.
I think the movie would have benefited from. There's two characters that are like Burke and Hare, the grave robbers of legend, and Dick Miller is one of them.
Yeah. Richard Miller.
Richard Miller. Right. So
that was funny because I saw him right away. I was like, "Oh, there's Dick Miller, man. He's in every movie. I love him."
Well, he's in every Corman one, that's for sure. But
he is. As he should be.
Well, them two are kind of grave robbers, and so they should have, I think, utilized them more in the plot a little bit to give a little more oomph, a little more luridness to the story because it's not as dry as a gothic drama. No, but this would be more of a gothic psychological kind of story than, let's say, true, like a supernatural type of horror thing. It's not.
Sure.
It's not that. Everything is very explainable. But the best gothic stories, they're not as supernatural as much as they have overtones of that. And if the people are being haunted, they're being haunted by the memories. And that there is that in this film. And he is being haunted by the memories of hearing his father scream and trying to get out of his grave. Yeah. And stuff. So a lot of the movie has him obviously worrying about this, but it does get a little interesting. And I do like the part. And this is another missed opportunity, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I do like the part where Ray Milland shows off his designer crypt that he has designed. It's his own personalized crypt that has like 19 different escape routes. Because he's terrified. I'm terrified of dying in a fall. And I don't mean like a 12-foot fall. I'm terrified of falling off Pikes Peak.
Yes.
And if you don't believe that, I'm not joking, exaggerating, or just making Pikes Peak up. I was on Pikes Peak, and I still have anxiety from being on Pikes Peak.
Yeah.
And this was 10 years ago or so. And I still have anxiety about it because I don't want to fall off of it, and I'm nowhere near it. But I can fall off it. It's possible. I can.
You never know. You might get there again someday.
That's right. I might fall off. So
might take it in and push you off.
Right. So his big thing is he's terrified of being buried alive, and that permeates kind of the film. But when he shows off that crypt, his personalized little crypt where he has all this stuff, that is so cool. Yeah. Now, of course, there's a part. It's called Premature Burial. Okay, so there's a part where Ray Milland could have used that crypt, but they don't utilize that. And
No.
I think it would have been so cool had they utilized it and maybe made it, or someone screwed it up and made it, you know what I mean? Like somebody went into that crypt and messed it all up to where he couldn't get out, and he went from
sabotaged it.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. And he went from different escape routes because he has a lot of escape routes, and he has I think food and stuff ready to go in case he gets trapped in there for a while if none of them work.
And now he does have like a dream, right? Doesn't he? That he is in there, and then because I like pretty much everything that's going on in this film. I just think it needed just a little bit more because once it does get ramped, it ramps up finally towards the end, and then it goes, it cooks. Yeah. You know what I mean? It just takes a while for it to warm up, but then it cooks.
Right.
I just wish it cooked a little longer or simmered a little bit more, but that's okay. That's me. It's not the movie's fault. I'm just saying, but
these Roger Corman, most of these Edgar Allan Poe adaptations are almost all atmosphere, and they're a little stiff costume drama esque. Yeah. And it's almost like they were trying to make a classy movie and an exploitation movie at the same time. Sure. And I think that the plunging necklines are the exploitation, and the beautiful photography is the classiness.
Yeah.
And it works for the most part. I think sometimes, though, when we go back and watch these expecting a little bit more razzmatazz, that we don't get as much because that's what these movies are. They're more dramas. They're more dark, psychological dramas about madness and stuff, as opposed to being about monsters or ghosts.
Right.
And that's who Poe was. Poe was all about madness and loss of loved ones, and the haunting feeling that one gets when they lose a loved one too young and things like that. And it's so I think these movies are reflecting that a little bit more,
and maybe what comes after death and things like that too. Like
and paranoia and fears and stuff like that, which this one definitely keys on.
Yes, and which I think is and which could really be debilitating for people. I mean, really. Well, I tell you this: what scared me mostly about this was I don't have a fear of being buried alive, but I would have a fear of being trapped and being buried to where I wasn't meant to be buried alive, but it's something like landslide, a building collapsing, or something. Right. The fear of not being able to move my extremities or being pinned. Right. Just it makes me so sick to my stomach. It does. And I didn't really, and I've had some experiences, mostly because when you're a kid, Tim, and you're hanging out with your older brothers and stuff, and you're playing hockey, and you're a goalie, and you smash you, and they jump on you, and your legs pinned back behind your head, and you can't move, and you're screaming to breathe. That might have had a little something to do with my paranoia. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, I just don't like that. It's always been a fear of mine, is to be just like... Yeah,
you don't have a phobia about it necessarily. But when you think about it, it's probably it's probably like number 9 of ways you don't want to go.
Yes. Now, and I didn't realize it until I had an MRI one time where it stick me all the way in the tube, and it was because I was having issues with my equilibrium for a while, and so when they put me in that tube and said don't move for that much time, and when I could open my eyes and all I could see was just around me where I couldn't really move much. Right. I really had to go inside myself and start breathing and doing breathing exercises and take myself out of where I was, because I was about to hyperventilate, and it's like you said, it's debilitating. Yeah. It's like, and I could feel that in this film a little bit. So I will give it kudos to that, because that's just an awful experience. Now they do have the one part where he he thinks he's been buried alive and stuff. And I was like, I don't know if I can watch this part. I don't know. You know what I mean? But he did. What was funny, Tim, he had his casket was like a trick casket where it could flop open if he was stuck in there. Yeah. And what he had in there, he had like a corkscrew.
It looked like a magician's casket, like when they saw the person in half and they go, ta-da! I expected him to be wearing like a little skirt whenever he popped that casket back open. Ta-da!
Yeah. So that was kind of funny. But you know what I mean? But those That was kind of a little terrifying scene because then he thought he's stuck in that tomb and he can't get out of the tomb, and the food and all the things that he saved was gone bad, and maggots and So I did kind of feel that. I don't want that for me to be stuck in something like that. Also, it's a fear. It is,
right?
And
well, it's like the first 2/3 of the film really play hard on that, and I think that it could draw a little bit. It gets a little long, if you're getting a little.
Because he's a jerk, man. He just he's a nice, likable guy, and then he'll just turn jerky.
Well, that's another thing about these movies too, is that there's not a lot of likable folks in it. I mean, and I'm talking about the other Corman films too. Like Vincent Price is usually not a likable person in these movies. I mean, even the people around him aren't very likable because they're kind of like toss away characters. It seems like a lot of times, and I think the first 2/3 are really pushing it, and then and we won't spoil it. I mean, again, people have had time to see this. It's been out for a while.
It's been out for a little.
It's been out longer than I've been out.
About 8 years more than I've been out.
Yeah. So, but he does get buried alive, but he gets out. I'm not gonna.
Yes.
We won't go all those places in case you want to watch it, but that's when I think you're like, oh, here we go. Here we go. Now the stagey costume drama is going to get a little amped up here. Now, because he's pissed.
He gets up pissed.
Oh,
he wakes up mad.
Oh, good gravy.
And it's cool because he looks a little cooler too. He doesn't. He's not so much like a zombie.
No, but he's got a little,
which
bit
I
of
liked.
Yeah,
but he's just much more like color on his face. Like it worked with the colors in the
almost
film
like a subtle Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, which I liked. It wasn't too much. And it was just enough. I liked that.
If you've ever seen Spencer Tracy's version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, there's a very subtle transformation that he does. It's close to that. It's kind of more in that area where, it just looks like he looks maybe freshly dead.
Yeah, he doesn't. And I liked that. It looked good. It wasn't too much. It wasn't over the top. It just looked good. He looked pissed, and I liked it.
Right.
So,
and he was determined.
Sometimes less is more, Timo.
Yes, exactly. And he was bound and determined that he was going to fix what was wrong in his world. He's like, all right.
Old Alan Napier got a little something he wasn't expecting either. Yeah, which was good. I liked that part.
Yeah, I did too.
Too, which was good.
Yeah, the end really lifts up the other parts because there's parts that are just seared in my memory. I enjoy this movie. I mean, I think it's pretty good. I don't disagree that it's not a barn burner. It's certainly not like a monster, a fun monster movie or anything. It's dark, but
I've been complaining a lot lately that things are going too fast. So I need to shut up because I was saying slow down, and I get one that's slowed down, and I'm like, wait a second. Not that it was that. It just for me, I could have used one or two more scenes of some kind of, I don't know, higher drama, or something, because I like pretty much everything else in the film. It just needed one or two more things, one or two more shockers,
right?
And for me, and that, but that's me though, buddy.
I'm starting to realize too, and not starting. I mean, I think I've been kicking around these weeds for a while, but it seems like I want it not to be the final quarter of the movie where everything happens. I want it to be like maybe half of it. But then I think about modern movies, and that's kind of what they're doing, and then I get upset because it's overkill. Yeah. So maybe it's really not. You just have to kind of go with it. Maybe just decide whether or not you're into it or not. I mean, and I think it's just it's part and parcel to when these movies were made. I mean, this is pretty average as far as like the speed of a film, the pace of a film back then and stuff. And I think it's allowing you to get to know the characters and get to know the situations in a more real way.
Yeah.
Instead of force feeding it to you and stuff. And I think that works. It's why we're wondering like how much was Hazel Court, like how much was she in love with him and not the whole time. And it makes you want to go back and watch again to see those signs, because it did. It made me want to go, I'm going to watch this. I am going to watch it again. Not today, but I am because it's a fun little movie.
You'll watch it again.
I love the scene where he's in the crypt though, and he starts reciting some of the Conqueror Worm.
Oh yeah.
I love that. I actually sampled that on a Adoring Heirs record, that little speech.
That's right, yeah.
And I just think it's creepy and it's cool. And I think I wish, and look, I'm a St. Louis guy. That's where Vincent Price is from. So before somebody gets on my shit about this, I think Corman should have mixed it up more. I think Corman should have had Ray Milland, maybe Tyrone Power, some other people in these
Ray Milland roles. Goodness, he reminds me of Jimmy Stewart sometimes a little, like it could be his brother type thing. You know what I mean? They look a little like not a little. I mean, their mannerisms sometimes.
Well, no, it's funny. It's funny because Angio, when we were watching it, she was asking, about him. By the way, I just said Tyrone Power, but I just thought about it, looked it up. He died in 1958. That would have been hard to cast Tyrone. I'm just throwing out names. Sorry about that. I don't know. But anyway, Angio was asking me about, Ray Milland, because she was like, okay, so although she recognizes people and stuff, I'm the keeper of the knowledge, so she's like, who is that again? So I tell her. But so when she asked me, I said, he's in, the main thing is Dial M for Murder. That's the thing that she would know that we watch. I like The Uninvited, the old ghost story that he's in too. But I actually said to her, he's like a poor man's Jimmy Stewart.
That's what I was just going to say. I'm not kidding you.
I said it last night. Yeah. Same
that's
thing.
Weird.
Right? Yeah.
And
he has similar eyes. Their eyes are both kind of like piercing eyes, and they both have similar, like they're bigger gentlemen, kind of like taller, I guess. I think Stewart's way lankier and stuff like that. But they do have a certain similarity to each other. You're right. But I think that Corman, and I love Price. That's what I mean. Like, I'm not saying he shouldn't have used Vincent Price. Like, Fall of Usher. Fall House of Usher is brilliant. Some of his stuff. I just think he could have used Ray Milland and maybe one or two other people to kind of mix it up a little bit. Because although I really like Vincent Price, Vincent Price to me is not very versatile. He's Vincent Price. It's kind of like you're probably not going to get Harry Dean Stanton to play Dracula. He's Harry Dean Stanton. Or the monster. Right. Or maybe the monster. I don't know. But you're not going to. But, I mean, Vincent Price is Vincent Price. And so, I don't know. Sometimes it feels like he was forced into movies a little bit. Not forced into them, but they were kind of forcing that onto him a little bit. It seemed like.
Sure.
And I think this is a nice little break for that, because I do like Ray Milland.
He's good in this.
His performance is better than it was in Frogs. I can promise you that.
Wait a second. No. Wait a second. Frogs was no. Yeah. Oh my gosh! You had to go there.
I did. But I'm going to give this movie, Harley, a great bape up. I'm going to give it a big great bape up. Not a Rafters, nothing like that, but a big great bape up. I like the optics of it a lot. I like pretty much everything in it. The pacing is, this movie is 1962. It's a little stiff. Yep. It's a little this and that, but that stiffness really seems to go away in the final act of the film, and kind of makes that a little bit, forgivable. But there still is a pace to it from 62.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Big great bape up for me. What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna give it a great bape up. Not a huge one, but a decent one. I mean, I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed most everything. I just needed just one or two more, just a little bit more, just something,
Right.
Or maybe him going, once he got out of the crypt and everything, maybe even 5 or 10 minutes more of that.
Right.
I would have been happy with.
Well, he kills a few people, so they could have spread that out. They could have spread that out, and I agree with you, and that's what I was saying. My only concern was, would that... I think my concern when I say that I get upset about newer films, they do that. I think I wanted these older films to do that because the pacing was correct for them to do that.
Sure.
And I wish I would have seen a little bit more. It's very common now watching these old movies for me to think that, though. It's like, I could have done a little bit more.
Yeah.
This is what audiences were used to then.
Right, exactly. And that's, and I have to put myself in, which I do. And I think I'm pretty good and pretty nice to movies that way.
Yeah.
But
it's pretty dark for 62.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, actually. And I love the Edgar Allan Poe stuff. And I said my mom was such a big Edgar Allan Poe fan.
I am too.
So it was fun to. Now she probably might not have liked that movie very much, but she would have definitely. She probably knew the story and stuff. So.
Right. It was a magnificent poet and storyteller. So.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Ben Harley, let's get out of here. Next week, we're going to have part 2 of our interview conversation with the Fresh Prince of Darkness from the Dwarves, Marc Diamond himself.
That's right.
I got that, and then we're going to have other magnificent brilliance shining through your speakers or earbuds right into your brain pans. How about that? So,
that's right.
Until next week, Mr. Ben Harley,
yes,
all
sir.
you deep thinkers out there, stay spooky, and we'll talk to you then.
Keep it creepy, people.
You've been listening to the Timo and Harley Show, brought to you by ScreenPrintingFactory.com, your affordable one-stop solution to all your screen printing needs.